Hey guys, it's me Jake from JakeMan21642, and today I've got just a really quick video of a car that's been in my family for a long time, but I don't think I've ever had a video of it on this channel, or if I do, it is very old. But this is my grandfather's 2009 Toyota Camry. This one is a LE V6 model, which is kind of rare, at least in my area. But long story short with this car, my grandfather had a 93 Camry LE V6 wagon, basically my entire childhood. And I absolutely loved that car. I would kill to have it back today. But that ended up getting totaled around 2011, I think maybe early 2012. And so he set out to find a replacement. That car he had for almost 20 years. It treated him fantastic. So he definitely wanted to go back to a Toyota. He was between this, a Venza, and then the only thing outside of Toyota he was considering was a TSX Sport Wagon, which of course is what I was pushing for. I really wanted them to still have the double wagons, but ended up going with this. They were disappointed with the TSX not offering a V6. Because as I'm sure you guys have noticed with the XC70 and the Subaru, my grandparents are pretty old school. They definitely love having a V6 or whatever the optional engine is offered on a car. But so they ended up going with this. They couldn't find a V6 Venza either. This was actually a lease turn-in, only V6 they had, and super clean car at the time. He has taken excellent care of it. I mean, it looks basically exactly the same as when he got it. But I believe it had around like 38,000 miles on it. It's got around 95 now, which is not bad at all for an 09. Cars really, for a while, were not grandma and grandpa cars. They did still drive a lot. Especially, they live kind of out in the suburbs outside of the city, but still go into the city for a lot of stuff. So for a while, this was his daily driver. Put a decent amount of miles on it. He's kind of at the point now where he really doesn't drive anymore. But the car is obviously not going anywhere. My grandma still likes having a spare car around. And I'm trying to come out at least once a month, every other week or so, and just take it for a drive, make sure everything's going well with it. So thought I would do a quick video while I have it today. So like I said, this is an 09 LE V6. The LE was pretty much the base model, but this is a fairly loaded base model. You can see it does have the alloy wheels. The thing I've always been disappointed with is no sunroof, which his 93 actually did have. And I know this generation Camry definitely does get a lot of hate. I mean, everyone hated these when they were new, but I've really come to appreciate the car for what it is. It's just a comfortable cruiser. Definitely, this was when Toyota's build quality was probably at its worst, but I mean, this is still a fantastic car. And thankfully, with the V6, we have avoided the engine problems that the 4 cylinders did have on these. And then, I mean, the interiors on these generally do not hold up that well, but since this car has been in a garage since they've got it, it actually, I have to say, is probably one of the cleaner ones out there. I don't know what it is with this generation Camry. All of the ones I see that are still on the road in my area are in terrible shape. But this one, like I said, it's kind of a cool spec. I mean, it's got this pretty seafoam green exterior, which of course their last name is green. So for a long time when they had this in the Subaru, they actually had the matching green cars, which I loved. You can see your body side molding on the side, which has definitely done its job a few times. And then this one, like I said, is on alloy wheels, and it's riding on Goodyear Assurance Max Life tires, which is the same garbage tires the Subaru had when I got it from them. But they are comfortable, they are quiet. Definitely with the 3.5 under the hood and no traction control, it is very easy to light these up. But 215/60 are 16s, so 16-inch alloy wheels. Disc brakes all around, of course. And I mean, you can see, like I said, it's a very clean car, but the bumpers definitely have been painted. This one's definitely got a little bit of orange peel, and then I'm sure you saw on the back, and not all of these are his fault, but it definitely does have a couple grandpa bruises here and there on the bumpers, as I like to call them. But otherwise, garage kept, so I mean, the paint is in excellent shape. No window tint, of course, which I think would look very good on the car. And then up front, surprisingly on a 2009, it does have projector headlights. I mean, this design, I think, has aged very well. This is still a nice, respectable looking car. Go ahead and step inside of this one. Really, only thing wrong with it at the moment is the key fob battery is dead. But inside you can see, unlike almost every other Camry of this body style, this one is actually very clean inside. I cannot remember the last time I traded or got in one of these that looked this good. Go ahead and start it. One thing I've always loved is this generation Camry has such a pretty gauge cluster. Definitely one thing Toyota did right. And you can hear that fantastic 3.5 liter V6 start up. Inside, like I said, this is just an LE, so it is fairly basic. You just have the standard polyurethane wheel, nice and super light power steering, which, again, when this generation was new, everyone loved to hate on it for the driving dynamics and for the interior, which the interior I kind of agree with, but I mean, all the touch points are well appointed, and again, this one's had the advantage of being in a garage, but everyone loves to hate on these. But at the same time, if you've been in an 8th gen Accord, which was out at the same time, those peel and get just as messed up, if not worse than these do inside. But inside of this one, audio controls on the wheel, surprisingly Bluetooth in a 2009, which I remember at one point he actually did use. This was one of the first cars we ever had in my family that I actually saw Bluetooth in. On the door, though, I mean, it's a padded material up top, but this very grippy cloth all throughout. It's the same on the door panels as on the seats. And this is why my grandma, she likes having the spare car around, but doesn't drive it that much, is she hates these seats because they're so grippy. She has a hard time getting in and out of the car. But meanwhile, that is why I love these seats, is they are exactly why I prefer cloth. They're grippy. They breathe really well. You wouldn't believe it with how soft this material is, but if they get dirty, they're actually very easy to clean, and they recover perfectly fine. They don't get scratchy or anything like that when they dry out. I mean, it's just, again, this is why I prefer cloth seats. I drove over here in my Mercedes and had a sweaty back the entire time, and then I get in this, and it's just pillowy, comfortable. Driving on the back roads out here where I am, they just hold you in place. You don't slide around on them. And these, it's just like the early 2000s Ford Tauruses. And if you're around cars as much as I am, you'll know exactly what I mean. These with the cloth interiors all have the same smell. And even though this car is close to 15 years old at this point, because this actually is a super early build, 2009, this car still has the exact same smell inside as when he got it. So another thing, speaking of the interior issues with these, same as my 4Runner, they have pretty bad dash cracking and peeling issues. Again, if you're around a lot of cars, you'll know exactly what I mean. Most of these, the dashboards crack. I think the foam below them recedes, and then it causes all kinds of weird peeling and cracking. This one was actually replaced under warranty right before he bought it. That's how long this has been an issue. So it's been in their garage. It's held up surprisingly well. You can see, though, in some spots, it's starting to get this greasy layer to it, which is what they do before they start peeling. It's not sticky yet, but definitely one day it's gonna start. Middle, you do have the gauges, which, like I said, are very pretty electroluminescent. You have your speedometer, tachometer, engine temperature, and then fuel gauge. Would not be a Toyota if it didn't have a dead TPMS sensor. I even tried, I put air in it with the compressor at their house and air in it at a gas station. And sometimes the light blinks, sometimes it stays solid. Also, I worked at a shop. I know with these Toyotas, they do have a TPMS sensor in the spare tire. Check that too, and the light's still on. So, typical Toyota, my 4Runner's the exact same way. Every Toyota from this era has a dead TPMS sensor. Automatic headlights over here, your power mirror controls, and then you have a little storage container. Storage down below, and then your power window controls over here. This is such an early build one, it doesn't even have the all automatic windows, which actually stamp right here, all auto. But everything's very simple laid out. I mean, also too, this is a perfect car for someone in their 90s because everything is super self-explanatory, super easy to use. One of the only few options this car does have is the JBL system from the factory, which is actually a pretty solid stereo. Especially with how quiet this thing is going down the road, it's got a fantastic sound. And again, as much as everyone loves to hate on this interior, I've always loved the pretty teal backlight that everything has at night. Very period correct, but very cool looking. People swap these out with Android head units, and they're so ugly and out of place looking. I really am a fan of this, and again, super easy to use. 6-disc CD changer, satellite radio, also does have auxiliary in, so this was a pretty solid system at the time, and with the JBL speakers, it definitely packs a punch. Manual climate control, again, LE, nice and basic, and he came out of a 93, so he's still happy with the amount of features that this has. You have some storage pockets on the sides of the console down below, and then more storage inside of there. Cup holders, which do have a cover that goes over them, and then being a V6, this does have the 6-speed auto with your gated shifter and of course manual mode. If this was a 4-cylinder in 09, it would have a 5-speed. And there, you do have a storage compartment, power outlet. You do have an armrest, which this has held up surprisingly well. I've seen some of these where they split, but more storage inside of there. Like I said, I just love the seats in this car. They're bolstered pretty well, but not aggressive. This is before everything, including SUVs and mid-sized sedans, had to convince you they're sporty. So they're actually just very, very comfortable seats. Plush material, and like I said, I love how grippy this cloth is. Lighting up top, and then your sunglasses container, as well as a manually dimming rearview mirror. But nice, you have your vanity mirrors up top, and everything like that. And the only thing inside of this car that's actually broken is this let go on one side, rig this string to hold it in place. Love to find one of these at a junkyard and just replace it for them. That's basically it up front. Like I said too, again, before everything was trying to convince you it was sporty, I love the fact that this has a 4-spoke steering wheel. Because again, these are vague, they're very soft going down the road. It's a cruiser. It's not something you're gonna hop in and tear the road up. So nice, comfortable driving position. You can just hold the wheel right on the bottom. We'll step out, give you a quick tour of the rest of the car. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows what a Camry looks like. And that's another thing too, I get kind of nostalgic for these, just like the 7th gen Civic, because growing up, I knew tons of people whose parents had these. Obviously, I grew up around it. And then by the time I was in high school, we were all driving age, knew tons of people that had these that they got from their parents. Inside the back seat, I mean, this is, despite the fact that mid-sized sedans are dying, one of the nice parts about this car is you just have a great amount of back seat room. I mean, I'm 6'2". This seat's a lot further back than I would sit, and I still have plenty of space back here. It's the same cloth as up front. The back seat is a little more firm, and it sits pretty upright, but still very comfortable. Even in the LE, you do get an armrest in the middle. And this is the one way you can tell it's a used car, is this has been on the armrest the entire time he's had it. We've tried everything, and it just will not come off. But cup holders, you have storage on the back of the seats. Excuse my groceries down below. And around the rear, inside the trunk. Again, great part about mid-size sedans, you have a fantastic amount of space. You can see they use this car to go on BJ's runs and stuff like that. Of course, back seats split folding, which is very nice. If you're a Honda person like me, you know the Accords did not have that until like 2015. Up top too, I mean, this is nice and lined. They definitely did their best to make this car feel pretty quality. Back seat from this side. I mean, that's probably a more realistic leg room. And then up front, you do have a power passenger seat. And then up front, manual passenger seat. I mean, what you'd expect in 2009. Nice though, it does have puddle lamps down below. And you can see too, I moved the one out of the way because because it sketches me out on the driver's side. But he loves this car so much, he even made his own little carpet squares to protect where your feet land on the floor mats over the carpet. So it is definitely your typical grandpa car. Could use a vacuum. Storage in there, and very nice, is a damped glove box. You can see daytime running lights. I'll cut the headlights on as well. You can see they are halogen projector headlights up front. And then under the hood, as I mentioned, the best part of this car is the 2G RFE 3.5 liter V6. It sounds like there is a little bit of belt noise, or maybe a pulley under here, but again, it is a 2009. But everything's in great shape. The power delivery from this engine is amazing. I mean, this engine's in the Highlander. There's a version of it in the Tacomas now. This is the 3.5 in all the Lexus products, and you can definitely tell by the smoothness that this was a luxury car oriented engine. But plenty of power, very nice suit, dual overhead cam and a timing chain, unlike the J series Hondas at the same time. And close to 270 horsepower, and I'm not sure the torque, but it's a lot going to the front wheels with no traction control, so you can definitely light them up if you try with this car. Reliability wise though, I think when it was a couple years old, it did get a new water pump. That's a typical 3.5 thing, and the revised part definitely seems to be a lot better. So that was replaced, and then last year actually, he got a check engine light that was related to the throttle body. Toyota replaced it under warranty. So there's obviously some kind of extended coverage or something like that, but in the about 60,000 miles he's put on this car, those have been the only two issues, and especially 60,000 miles over 10 years. Only two things, they were both taken care of by Toyota. You can't tell by the True Start battery. Religiously dealer services the car, so been maintained well, and the few issues Toyota's taken care of for him. Which, like I said, that's why I'm so Toyota loyal, is he's had these my entire life, never had any major problems as I'm chasing my parents' Volkswagens around on a tow truck. Definitely though, V6 is the way to go with these cars. The 2.4s, I don't believe the later 2.5s were as bad, but the 2.4s definitely did have some oil consumption issues, and especially now that they're old, a lot of them have issues. But these V6s seem to go forever. These may not be the highest quality gen of Camry, but they seem to hold up fine and, again, just go forever. But like I said, guys, I just wanted to do a video of it because I know if there is one on my channel, it is at least 10 years old at this point. Any questions, comments, anything like that, drop them down below. And despite this being the most uneventful car in my family, I'm sure I'll have some updates on it eventually. Thanks for watching.